All right, so false panic. This is a totally different segment. This is where you are, or not you, rather the masses are panicking, and it's just false panic. Like, don't worry, they're gonna bounce back. It's gonna be fine. Who you got?
My false panic player is Trayvon Burks. He ran 37 routes, and he only had 3 targets. He got completely alpha by DeAndre Hopkins. Reason why I think this is false panic, I mean, I don't think that it's like unfounded panic, right? Burks wasn't good enough as a rookie that we should be super confident in his ability to be robust to any challenges. But why I would probably be more inclined to buy him if people are selling him a little bit low. First of all, he was coming off an LCL injury, and he generally was not expected to even play week 1 up until a couple of weeks ago. He went out and he ran 1 million routes. He was probably still not fully healthy. So I think we have that going for him. And then we kind of saw this last year, actually, in a few spots where it was like the new addition. They were like, we're going to target this guy relentlessly in his first game, kind of welcome him to the team, right? We saw this with Tyreek Hill. It was like Jalen Waddle was like barely a part of the game plan week 1. It was all Hill. A.J. Brown, it was all A.J. Brown. It was barely any Smith in the game plan. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Burks missed a lot of practice time. They want to get Hopkins integrated. I think as their offense moves along, the fact that he was running all these routes is a good sign for him, and probably we'll see a little bit more out of Trayvon Burks. And then you also get the benefit of where Hopkins is now dinged up. He might not play this week, and Burks could easily step back in and start alphaing Nick Westbrook-Akine and the rest of these goofs in a really fun matchup against the Chargers. So that would be probably the guy that had a bad week that I am holding the line on, or even potentially trying to buy.
Yeah, I'm into Trayvon Burks. I think, I'm not overly concerned about his week 1. I think he's a good player, and he'll find his way. I think shiny new toy syndrome is very, very common. And that was DeAndre Hopkins this week. And, yeah, I think it's Trayvon Burks' wide receiver room for the long term, and I'm in. So, yeah, no panic for me. False panic I picked was the Atlanta Falcons duo, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Tons of panic out there right now. And I would just like to say that the panic is warranted to some degree. Like, there was a chance. And like the appeal to drafting Drake London and Kyle Pitts this year was, what if Desmond Ridder is good? Like, what if that happens? And because he was a sophomore, it's hard to say for certain that he was going to be bad. He's probably going to be bad because most day 2 quarterbacks are bad, but there was a chance. There was an opportunity where it could happen. It did not happen, so that means that Drake London and Kyle Pitts are probably not going to win your league. That's not going to happen. That's not in the range of outcomes anymore. However, they're probably not going to be unstartable. Like, they're still going to be probably in the wide receiver 2 range for Drake London and Kyle Pitts to be tight end 1. They're just not going to win your league, and it's fine. Every player isn't going to win your league every year. And in Dynasty especially, you just need to hold on to these guys. I'm not going out and buying them by any stretch today because they're not going to win your league this year. And it's probably going to be rocky the rest of the season. And the masses have shown a giant overreaction in week 1. And I think that could continue for the next couple of weeks and maybe even for the whole year. In which case, I will buy after this year, or I will buy again when there is an indication to start buying. But right now, I'm just holding still. They're going to do fine. They're not going to embarrass you most of the time. Obviously they did this week, but they're not going to embarrass you all the time. And they're also, they just don't have that same appeal where I was going out and buying them before. That's now been erased. Now it's just like, they're nice floor plays, whatever. What do you think?
Yep. I agree. I mean, I'm just holding these guys. Pitts more than London. Like, I'm always just trying to buy Pitts because I think with Pitts, you just don't have that replicability factor, right? Like, Drake London, it just like sucks that he's in this position. But like, if you can find the person in your league who's like thinks that they're being really smart buying low on Drake London, they're not actually buying that low, I would be more inclined to sell him of the 2, just because there are several good wide receivers out there you can get, and I don't think you're going to be in a spot where, like, if you don't have Drake London on your team, you're ever like super, super miserable. I think he's going to be a good player for a very long time, and he maybe one day will have an elite fantasy season, but he's probably not an irreplaceable asset in the way that Kyle Pitts potentially can be. it's just going to be what it is going to be. Like at this point in time, especially for Pitts, I think the people who kind of have him are already in it for the long haul, and it is what it is. You know, if you understand and accept the terms of the bet, which is that you're investing a lot in a player that is probably not going to help your fantasy team that much, and I don't know when he is going to help your fantasy team, but that if he does eventually, and the underlying data on him individually says that he really, really, really will one day, you're going to get a big payoff, then it appeals to you. If you're, if you're prone to tilt, I get it. You've been investing a lot in him for 3 years, and it doesn't really pay off all that much. So, I don't have the mental energy to convince people to invest in Falcons. It's just too frustrating. But I can certainly speak for myself personally that I'm going to continue to do it. I'm pretty comfortable with who they are as talents, and the idea of the macro market, them losing value day to day like a stock doesn't really bother me. I'm more interested in the fundamentals of the players, and I think that it's sound. But yeah, it would be really nice if Arthur Smith would let our good players score fantasy points in the meantime.
That would be really nice. I got a question for you. I made a controversial trade the other day, just before week 1, 2 days before.
Yeah.
And I got this trade offer. It's a complex league. For all intents and purposes, I'm going to call it a two tight end league. It's not actually a 2 tight end league, but you're not going to win this league if you're not starting 2 good tight ends. The scoring in it just really favors tight ends. For instance, Kyle Pitts was the 29th highest scoring player overall as a rookie.
Okay.
Including all.
You're going to want tight ends.
So you're going to want tight ends. And he was tight end 9 or something.
So what? It's like super flex for tight ends. You have to start one, and then the second one is you can start any position, but it's
you should start a tight end.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you there's 3 flexes like that. So you can start a lot of tight ends if you want to. Anyways, the moral of the story is I got this offer. I had Bijan Robinson. And
yeah,
I got a Kyle Pitts offer for Bijan Robinson. You taking it?
No.
I did.
But I haven't played enough in the fantasy in that format, but I just think with Pitts, the whole fun in buying low on Pitts is that you get to move fairly replaceable or inconsequential assets to get a possibly very consequential one. And so you don't feel that bad about listing out on the points in the meantime because you're moving a bunch of stuff that also doesn't score points or that you don't think has that type of upside. But I'm not moving Bijan Robinson to accomplish that type of goal.
Yeah, well, I did it before the season, and I really hesitated. I declined it at first, and I think I got a second back or something with it.
Before the season, yeah, okay. I thought it was today. I still get it. I get it. I was in a startup. It was a 2 tight end startup, and I took Pitts at the 1-2 turn. And at the time, it felt great, and I still think it's a defensible choice, but it's pretty annoying when I look at my week 1 lineup and it's a best ball league. So it's a 2 tight end best ball league, and Noah Gray makes my lineup and Kyle Pitts doesn't. That doesn't feel great.
Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, it was. It's a complex league. Like I said, it's not a traditional league by any stretch. The scoring throws it for a loop. Normally, I would have smashed no, but I got the second on top, took Pitts, and now I'm sad. But prior to week 1, if things might have turned out differently, I wouldn't have been as sad. So we'll see.
Yeah, you know what crazy sucks?
We'll see.
So Kyle Pitts had a 26-yard catch called back by a Drake London penalty in this game. And if that catch does not get called back, he would have led all tight ends in yards this week.
There you go.
By 60. He's still good. He's still good.
He's still really good.
Smith, man. Arthur Smith is just.
Yeah, in 20.
I just want him out of our lives, man. And we're not going to get him out of our lives anytime soon because they have such an easy schedule. They're going to win 9 games, and he's going to still be the coach next year. It's infuriating that this guy is just completely burning through the contracts of Kyle Pitts and Drake London. And all he wants to do is just win ugly ass football games, not contend for anything, And the greatest joy in his life is getting to make fun of fantasy football in press conferences. Like that's all he lives for. He's just like, Drake doesn't care. We want to know. That's for the fantasy football nerds to worry about. Like, just fuck off, Arthur Smith. Like, it's not a fantasy football question as to why you didn't get your 8th overall pick coming off a great year, more receptions than your quarterback. That's like a real question about real football. You beat the Panthers, who suck. They suck.
Gosh.
You beat them at home, unimpressively, because they gave away the ball a couple times in the fourth quarter. That's like, you don't get to just gloat up there, right? It's embarrassing. If any other serious team that was contending for the Super Bowl has that performance, they're not smugly being like, yeah, man, we sleptwalked our way through a mediocre win against one of the worst 5 teams in the NFL. Go us. We don't have anything that we're going to fix. We'll leave that for the nerds. No, fuck you.
Well said. Well said.